What is the difference between being punk and being a punk?
We are here to talk some punk rock, some music, comics,
Punk culture, DIY shit, anything we want to talk about.
That's what fascinates me. Give me everything. Absolutely everything.
I find that music and comics have always been intertwined.
Muckspout.
Chicks dig it. Don't worry.
Woo! Welcome
Hey.
to Muckspout. Hey
All
guys.
right. Here we are again. So I have guests with me today.
Yes, you do.
This is Rui. This is Ralph.
I'm not Ralph. You're Ralph.
Okay, I'm Ralph.
This just got really confusing.
Yeah, it's gonna be so yeah, Rui, Ralph, myself. This is 3/4 of the band Mute Sounds. We just came back from a tour.
Sounds.
Yep. We just came back from a tour. As like 6 shows across Ontario, just kind of testing out the album, seeing how people receive it, that kind of thing. And yeah, so we're here with some road stories, I suppose. Shout out to John, who's celebrating his birthday today.
Woo, woo.
And
Happy birthday, John.
we love you, man. And Luis, our bass player, couldn't make it. He's spending time with his mom. And, you know, she lives quite a distance away. So when she's in town, you know, they like to make the best of the time. So we'll have him on. I actually wanted to talk to you about this. I think we should do a show for bass players down the road because they're kind of the unsung heroes.
Yeah.
And we'll have Luis on for that one.
Awesome.
Cool.
I'd be into that.
Yeah, for sure.
How many shows was this tour?
This one was 6. Kind of 7 because we played another one a week later, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I would put Bovine in on that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So yeah, we played. We started in Ottawa at Mavericks, and then we played. Jimmy Jazz in Guelph,
Yes.
and then we played
Townhouse.
the Townhouse in Sudbury on Canada Day.
Then was the best one. We took a break after that.
Yeah,
That was the best one.
yeah, and then we took a break, and then we jumped back on the road for Hamilton.
The Doors.
Holy shit, that was we got stories about that one.
Oh boy.
And and then we played London at the Palisade, which might be the coolest venue we've ever seen.
Really?
And then we finished out back in Toronto.
Homecoming show at Junction Underground. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and then we played the Bovine the following week. We were opening for a kick-ass band called Love Ethic
Yes.
from Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, from Pittsburgh.
Oh,
They were
nice.
fantastic.
Oh my God, so grungy. I love them.
Yeah, they were great. Yeah. So I don't know if you have any questions, or we can just tell you the stories about what went
Oh,
down.
yeah. I'm here to hear stories. That's why you're big on the screen.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You want to go by order?
sure, yeah. So we started in Ottawa. We made a detour in Belleville, right?
Yeah.
We started?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, man. I love small town Ontario. It's all like old heritage buildings and shit. It's all beautiful. And now the nice thing about the 21st century is they all come fully equipped with crazy dudes screaming at the top of their lungs, which is always some interesting entertainment for sure. But yeah, there was definitely a dude who was having a bad day in Belleville.
Belleville or Kingston?
The
The one we stopped on the way to Ottawa.
I think it's both. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, I remember this. There's a video we did not
Oh yeah, it was
post.
Kingston. It was
Yeah,
Kingston.
there's a video we did not post where some dude was like very babbly. He was not speaking English.
Oh, it was.
And
it
we
was
were just on the
intense.
streets looking for a place to like eat, and
I kind of wanted to ask him if he wanted to be a vocalist.
yeah.
But I feel like
But dude was all like,
it seemed a little unprofessional. So I was worried about his commitment to the
but
project.
I did think about asking him to like for recommendations to eat because he came out of a pub, right? So I'm like, that guy knows where to eat.
That's true. That's true.
And plus, I speak his language.
So how
Well,
far
some of us.
outside of Toronto is Ottawa?
It's like 4 hours.
4 hours, yeah.
4 hour drive.
Cool.
Canada's fucking huge.
It is.
And so like
I can't
Ontario
picture
is
anything
basically
it
the
is.
size of Europe.
Okay.
Or sorry, I think Ontario and Quebec together are the size of Europe, basically.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you don't see much in that 4 hours, but you know, that's kind of, it's just such a vast area. How big is Illinois compared to, like, how long does it take to cross Illinois?
Man. So it's about 5 or 6 hours, maybe.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So from Toronto to Ottawa is like a fifth of Ontario, kind of the distance. Like if you wanted to go from Toronto to Hudson's Bay is like 8 to 10 hours.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just a crazy big province. But Ottawa, I do not recommend driving. There's way too much going on. This is such bad fun. Okay, there we go. Turning that off.
Super professional.
Where were we? Oh yeah, we were driving in Ottawa. It's all one-way streets.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah, there was a bunch of times where it was like, oh, it's right over there. We'll be there in 2 minutes, and it was like,
No,
10 minutes later.
it was like a maze. You know, you had to find your way around to get there.
yeah,
It
I
was
was
not
not a problem.
obvious.
I always get somewhere like that, and then I need to find parking, and then I pass the parking, and I have to go around
Yep.
like 12 blocks to come back around.
That actually happened to us.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah,
That's exactly what we kind of got lost because we were like in separate cars. I was going with Rui and Ben was going with Louise, right? And he was pretty sure that, like Louise was pretty sure that he was in the right place, the exact place he needed to be. And he was like probably what, 2 buildings away from us?
he thought that because I told him that. So it's my fault.
Ben has future though for being a GPS place.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's right. Yeah. Yeah, we were joking about that. Where's the nearest Taco Bell? The nearest Taco Bell is 1 kilometer
videos.
north.
There's videos. We did this kind of like tour diary thing online. Actually, it got some very good reception. A lot of people really liked seeing that.
Yeah, it was
Like
fun.
these little moments where we would stop and whatever. And we tried, like, it was all through my thing, but then Mute Sound started sharing it. Ben started sharing it. Louise started sharing it. Yeah, and it became this little thing. People started feeling like they were a part of it, seeing things, a lot of inside jokes. It was really fun.
Yeah.
I think putting some
Fun stuff.
personality to arts really helps. Like,
Oh, most definitely.
it's
Sure.
the, it's
Well,
the
I mean,
most
really-
genuine, fun way to promote too. You know.
Yeah, and like at the end of the day, like, you know, and this is probably something that like got reinforced through the tour is like when we're on the road, we're not actually trying to show off our music. We're trying to like sell us,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
you know, and the music is just the thing we do. But really, we want you to like the 4 of us, like as a unit. I want people to come out to see like
We are.
Rui and Ralph and me and Luis
Yeah.
and listen to the music. But it should be us too, you know, like we're trying to make a human connection. I'd be kind of lame if we were just like getting on stage and playing and then just being like,
Right.
you know,
Well, that's the beauty of this band is we all kind of like let each other shine a bit, even if it's just outside of the stage, right? Like that was the objective of the whole story is like trying to integrate Louise, trying to integrate Ben. You know, like we're all amazing people. We get along off the stage. Like these guys, I would give the shirt off my back for all 3 of them. You know, I think we all would agree that we would do that for each other.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, the more people see that, I feel like the more authenticity it adds to the actual show of it, right?
Right.
So
for sure. Now, you know, I'm also kind of hosting this, so I have questions for the 2 of you.
oh shit.
Yeah. So Rui, this is kind of your baby. I mean, we're all kind of carrying it together, but you created this, and you always had a dream to take the show on the road, and this is the first time you got to do it. Yeah. So for listeners, Rui can't speak, but I'll be asking him some questions, and I'll just kind of like paraphrase what he's saying. But I was curious, like, was this has it played out the way you imagined? Better, worse? Exceeded your expectations. Right. Yeah. Yeah, he's saying that like basically the chemistry's kind of perfect between the four of us, that we all kind of understand each other. Like it's almost intuitive, you know.
Very much.
Yeah, there's no ego. Yeah, it's music first. Yeah,
I like to say that on stage, it's like we're speaking our own language,
yeah,
and people just watch us communicate.
yeah. I think that's something that all great, like good bands, like tight bands, have in common. That was probably the one thing I heard more than anything else. Is like you guys are tight as fuck. And for me, that's like the highest compliment because it means that we're all listening to each other.
Yeah.
It's basically the one way to tell us, like, you guys sound like you care.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, wow. He said when he got home from the tour, he cried. Like, were you sad that you couldn't see us anymore? Or?
He missed sharing a bed with
He's like, finally, I can sleep alone.
He missed sharing a bed with me.
Yeah. 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 He was saying that, like, you imagine something for so long, and then when it happens, he said it exceeds his expectations. So he's just like, but you can't deny that it's real. It's, it must be a really kind of like, yeah, just a surreal experience. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. 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 He was saying that, you know, because Mute Sound started with him. So I should probably tell the story for the 15th fucking time. Rui basically started this band while he was going through radiation therapy for throat cancer. He lost his voice, and he was basically working through what he was dealing with through music. And it was so inspiring that he ended up being asked to put on concerts for other people in the hospital, and kind of became a bit of a celebrity. And after that, music was just what he wanted to do with his life. And I don't know, man. I feel lucky that like we ended up in the same town together at the same time. You know, looking to make the music we're making. It's sort of like it feels like a dream come true for me too. You know what I mean?
Isn't that wild how that happens? How like the right people come together at the right time, like always in life. Like
it seems that way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's just like chemistry, just like actual organic chemistry, where it's like you have all sorts of elements floating around, but only certain ones connect. And when they do, they make some interesting shit. And I feel like humans are the same. Like, you know, I have a certain composition. I only bond with certain things. And you know, the goal isn't to like, I guess this is probably the biggest lesson for me over the last few years that's been like kind of cemented by the tour is it's good to like struggle is on balance a good thing for anybody to just figure out who they are.
Mm-hmm.
But when things start going smoothly, like it's a sign that you're on the right track. It's not a sign that you need to work hard, not necessarily. And like with this band, as soon as we started playing together, it was just like, and because I've, you know, fought to make other projects work, I knew how rare this is. It's something we talk about in the jam space all the time, is like how easy it is for us to just pick up our instruments and someone starts a thing, and then all of a sudden we have a 13-minute piece that we can kind of start paring down into a real song. That doesn't happen often.
Right.
I imagine it's the same thing with like artists and writers and stuff in the comic space, or you know, with filmmaking. I imagine that you have to have a certain chemistry with the people that are involved in that too. I would guess that there's some horror stories when the chemistry isn't there.
Well, yeah.
You tell me though.
You know, I've been lucky that I'm kind of careful about who I work with.
Yeah.
Like I make sure that I've known them a little while and that they've done what we're trying to do before, and like
Right.
to a degree. I mean, like we all kind of popped into this podcast without much previous experience in that, but if
No, but we've done a little bit of time with each other having a conversation in an online setting like this.
yeah,
So it gave us a sense of like, it's not, well, I mean, one of us could have been lying about ourselves, but we would have found out pretty quick.
yeah, yeah. So I personally don't have any real horror stories. I had some. I think that having people that are on your team that are willing to promote the project you're working on is helpful. And I like my comic Dulce. I loved that comic so much. Did 2 issues of it, and the second issue struggled to get kickstarted, and I kind of felt alone on that one. Like when it came to promoting it, and it made it hard to like want to go back to that product again, like, which was really unfortunate. I love it.
I understand what you mean.
But I love that team, and it's not even like, I don't know, like it just didn't work out.
Yeah, a lot of it's circumstantial too. Like I can definitely say, like when I met Rui and Ralph, it was when they had a different drummer, and I was there as like videographer. The idea that I was going to be in the band wasn't even like thought of. It was like, you guys are cool, see ya. Like we never really thought that this would go any further than that. But like first time we jammed,
it really like,
shit, we got to do this again.
Yeah.
Yeah. How different is it creating music as a band with no lyrics versus writing like a song with lyrics? Like,
that is a fantastic question.
It is.
And I think it's different for every instrument. So why don't we start with you?
Well, it's kind of like, as I said, right? We actually had this talk on tour. Where we did have a bit of a debate over lunch, if I recall. It was in London. Okay. So Louise is going to remember this. Shout out to Louise. Love you, brother. So we had a talk, and I had mentioned that with lyrics, normally you tend to follow the vocalist a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps, like I'm in another band. I'm playing with the Midsummers currently, so I actually do have that experience where I'm playing with a band that has a singer and doesn't. And a lot of times we do need to adapt to the singer in some way or form, especially like, let's say, I don't know, let's say there's a mistake. It's up to the band to adapt to her and work around that, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah, I think it's very important to have that as a central part, because end of the day, singer kind of ends up being kind of like the face of the band, right? So yes, so we definitely got to amplify that in some way, shape, or form. So this way, like with Mute Sounds, it's a lot different, where I kind of feel like I'm listening to everyone else. It's kind of like Ben's doing his thing, and sometimes I think to myself, okay, how can I lock into that? Or let's say, like, essentially me and Rui normally we listen to each other and we kind of lock in, but my role as being the rhythm guitarist, I always try to kind of be that bridge between the guitars and the rhythm section in some way, shape, or form. So it's interesting. I'm not looking to listen to what section are we at the song. It's more, what are the musicians doing? Yeah, it's very interesting in that front.
Yeah, as a drummer, it's a similar thing. Like the beat has to be a lot more clear with a vocal oriented song with lyrics, because the lyrics are the rhythm fundamentally for a song with vocals, whether it's hip hop or rock and roll or blues or whatever. It's the words that are kind of the meter that everything else follows, and you can dance around that, but you have to stay within the meter. So you have to make sure that when the chorus starts, everybody starts the chorus, etc. Whereas with this stuff, we have a bunch of songs where I can do like a couple little bait and switches with my rhythms to like, one of the things I love doing with this band is I'll do like small like one bar kind of teasers of a beat that's going to happen in like 2 minutes down the road in the song. And like, I know what's happening. No one else knows what's happening. I'm the only one that knows, but it would be much harder for me to pull that off if we had lyrics involved, because I would have to kind of make sure that the song conforms to a particular structure. The structure is a lot less relevant with instrumental music.
Almost definitely.
Even the key, I think, it can change on a dime, and as long as everybody's doing it together, it doesn't really change much. And I also think that one of the big differences is that the listener is more open to all that stuff too. There's something hypnotic about words that when you're just listening to music, you become a little more comfortable with your expectations being thwarted a little bit. And you kind of appreciate it more. Like if I was to do like I've done this before with certain other projects that I've done in the past that were very lyrically oriented, where I would try and do this little extra thing to, just for me, because I find it fun or whatever. And it would be like, no, it doesn't sound right. And I would agree, it doesn't sound right, or it would sound like a mistake on stage. But with this, people aren't locking into a particular instrument, so it doesn't feel like a mistake. They're more comfortable with letting things happen, and it feels like a feature rather than a glitch.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. It makes the songwriting a lot more smooth, but it also depends on the kind of musician you are too.
Yeah.
What about you? Oh, yeah. Right. So he was saying that like when he writes music, he can picture the words to the song in his head, but we make instrumental music, so he just focuses on the melody. I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I've never heard that one too.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. He was saying a lot of it has to do with his emotional state when he's writing. But the other advantage of not having lyrics is that if he writes something that he thinks is depressing, someone else might hear it and think it's, a different emotion entirely. So
yeah, I was gonna ask if there's any like hidden or lyrics behind these, even though the audience doesn't know. But music does convey emotion very well. But it's interesting that because people interpret songs all the time. There's like full message boards and stuff behind what is the meaning behind this song. And here it's like you're getting this information from the band and how you interpret like how that emotion is. It's interesting that people would spin that in different directions.
yeah,
Probably based on how their day is going sometimes. Like,
oh, for sure. Yeah. And it was really cool. This actually feeds back into the tour story. So the second show we played, Ottawa was I'll be honest with you, it's kind of forgettable. It was not a great night. One of the bands that we played with are very new. And I would say the unfortunate thing about being a new band is most people don't have patience for you to learn while you're on stage.
yeah.
So it was a bit of a struggle. But for any budding musicians out there that are listening, who feel like, I don't want to embarrass myself, embarrass yourself, please. For the sake of music, embarrass yourself. It's necessary. I have played like shit way more often than I've played well, and it's why I'm half decent now. So like, you got to do it. But these guys have got a lot of heart, but it's difficult to get a crowd out when the band is still getting their legs, But the next show was Guelph. Guelph was a blast.
Oh yeah.
We played a legendary punk venue in Guelph called Jimmy Jazz. And the old school punks that have been hanging out there for the last like 25, 30 years were, regaling us with stories about NoFX playing and Fat Mike sat at that chair right there and all that kind of stuff. Propaganda, Anti-Flag, you name it, they were there. And And it was kind of cool to be in this. I love old venues with that kind of history. There's like a feeling like you're kind of calling the ancestors a little bit when you're playing. And the stage was really small and really janky, and there wasn't a lot. There was no monitors. There was hardly any like PA. What stage exactly?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
it was literally just ground against the window.
Yeah, and there's to anybody who's thinking about opening a venue, you got to have a rug for your drums, man. Like if you don't, I mean, we'll play, but we're gonna be like keeping our drum kit together the entire set. So yeah, it gets awkward. But yeah, it was a great show. Killer turnout. Their food is fantastic. They have some of the best pizza I've ever had. Yeah, I love those dudes that we played with. What was the name of the band?
Stand Against Fear.
Stand Against Fear. They were fantastic. Like amazing energy.
Singer was running into the crowd, jumping off the walls, literally jumping off the walls. No joke. Like it's
spinning the microphone.
It was the stuff that you read in textbooks, man. It was insane. I tell them every time. I was reading about this, watching documentaries about this in college, and getting to see that firsthand. It was a freaking honor.
So Ralph is the youngest guy in the band.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's 10 years younger than me. So yeah, for him this is history.
Yes.
For me this is just like high school.
Right.
But yeah, no, but it was a fantastic show, and that's where a girl kindly decided to make me aware that the window was open behind me by sticking her finger right down my pants in the crack of my ass.
Awkward.
She was concerned you'd get cold.
Yeah, that wasn't a concern. Oh yeah, she was. I don't know if it was just booze or if there was something else involved. But you know what? I felt to some degree like I got like a glimpse of the college experience for an attractive woman that night. So what happened was I was playing, and I'm poor and I have ADD, so I have a bunch of stuff missing on my drum kit. And so my pedal started to disconnect on a song that I really needed it to be connected. So like I kind of suffered through the song, and then I was trying to attach things, and I had to bend down to do that. And as I bent down, I felt this finger just whip right down, and I was like, hello. And I look back, and there's a window behind me that's open, and there's this girl, and she was very attractive. But she was looking at me like she'd done me a favor. A little confused.
I still think at that point you should have gone, I beg your pardon. My name is Ben, ma'am. How are you?
Wrong window.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. When they say crack the window, that's not what they mean.
Yeah.
So when I glanced, I was like, "Oh, hi. What can I do for you?" And she was like, "Hi," and she was like looking at me like, "Uh-huh," and I was like, is there a finger? You got everything you need.
That's all you need to hear, man. That's all you need to hear.
That's Ben Cook signing off. Thanks, guys. Yeah, so I turned around and I was like, can I help you? And she was like, hi. And I was like, hi. She's like, I'm sorry, did that bother you? And I was like, yeah. Yeah. And she's like, you didn't like that? I'm like,
what is there to like?
Who likes that?
Oh.
Like, when have you ever gone out and been like, you know what I really want tonight?
Lady.
I'm hoping at some point I have to tie my shoelaces or something, and someone just lets me know that they saw my butt.
As many fingers in the crack as I can get.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm hooking up for. Yeah, it was, and I was like, no, I didn't really like that. Thank you. And then she kept trying to get my attention throughout the show. And I finally turned to her. I said, lady, I'm playing a show right now. You're going to have to wait. And she looked like I was an asshole. And
how dare you not consent to a finger in the crack, right?
You're not grateful enough, Ben.
Ungrateful, Ben.
Yeah. I'm proud to be the first guy that probably ever rejected that girl. in any way. And I hope that she found the ass crack of her dreams that night. But it wasn't me.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fun times.
Oh, we had the hotel thing. That's
Yeah,
right.
We can tell the hotel story. I don't want to tell the hotel story, though. You tell
But I told it last time.
I know. You tell it again.
Do you want me to tell the whole thing?
Tell the whole thing. Yeah.
You want the whole thing?
I want the whole thing.
You too?
Unlike her, I want the whole thing.
But you got the whole thing.
No, I only got one finger. I didn't get the whole thing.
I mean, it was enough. Anyways. Can I shout out the hotel, guys?
Yeah, who cares?
Okay, so guys,
If we get big enough that this becomes a problem, I'll consider that a compliment.
Rui, in all his innocence, went looking for hotels, and credit to Rui because he found the worst hotel we could ever get. Like this hotel, I mean, it was really nice at the entrance. It looked very innocent. Shout out to the Super 8 in Guelph. Never book a Super 8. Ben's mom, quote. Shout out to Ben's mom, by the way. She's an amazing lady. We'll get more on that later.
Yeah.
Anyways, Super 8 in Guelph. We go in there. It looks nice, you know. We have this little receptionist guy. He gives us the key, whatever. We decide to go look for the room, and that's when things start getting weird. We start seeing a dude with a laundry basket walk through, and we're like, okay.
Yeah, laundry detergent. He was in his boxers, and I was like, "You're at a hotel and you're doing laundry.
Yeah.
This is not a good sign for life."
I was like innocent in my innocence. I was like, okay, dude needs to do his laundry, whatever.
Sure.
Stuff happens, sure. Anyways, we start going to the second floor. We see all these doors freaking sanded down and like wallpaper being removed and whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'm not living here with my kidneys today. Anyways, we go onward, you know, we keep going. We go into our room, and that's where things start getting a bit crazy. We go in there, and it's like we find hairs in the bed.
Ugh.
We find like these very dirty bathrooms.
like
It's like
long hairs.
yes.
Like they had been left there or something. It was weird.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah.
TV had one channel. It was Grey's Anatomy the whole time. I swear to you. One channel. It was all Grey's Anatomy. I was waiting for the first 5 seconds to end.
No. It was every time you changed the channel, it was the same channel.
Grey's
It was
Anatomy.
like, and it was just Grey's Anatomy, but it was the staticky, like old school Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
And every channel would just get more staticky. It felt like at some point the girl from The Ring would come out, you know?
I still think she would come out. Well, I still think she would come out. Quite frankly,
related
I was
to the hair in
waiting
the
on
bed?
her just like,
What's that?
Is the girl from The Ring related to the hair in the bed?
I think so.
Probably.
I think so. Good
Yeah.
point. Anyways, at this point, we're just throwing a bunch of jokes in the air. We found like a little hole in the wall, which I swear is a peephole.
Yeah.
I swear is a peephole. No. It's not could have been. I swear is a peephole. Yeah, everything was. The tap had a very, very finicky thing to it, didn't it?
Yeah, the handle came off. That was the finicky thing about it.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah. So we're looking at this, we're laughing, and we're just like, okay, yeah, sure. We're not leaving here with our kidneys. I might get raped by a cockroach, and Louise might start dating the chick from The Ring, but sure, onward. So we decide to go back to the car, get our gear down to Jimmy Jazz, and Ben spots an eyeglass case on the floor.
Yeah, it was like right outside the car.
And in his innocence, he's thinking, we're all thinking, okay, somebody lost their glasses. I'm going to go pick this up. It's right by this gold BMW, I'm going to say.
I don't know.
It was a gold car, anyways, which at the time didn't seem shady to me, but looking back, it was a gold car.
Yeah.
Anyways, he picks it up. He opens it. My perspective, I see a Ziploc bag, so I'm like, oh, shoot, drugs. And
Some of the stash.
some dude opens the car door and just goes, hey, put that down, let go of that. And I'm like, oh, shoot, Ben just had to run in with a drug dealer. Anyways, he puts it down. We go to the other side, you know, we start going into the car. And we
At
see...
this point, I thought I was being punked. I actually did. Like when I lifted the thing and the guy was like, hey, put that down. I was like,
yeah, like I was thinking it was a prank at the
Where
time,
are
but
the
then he
cameras?
confirms that it's drugs, and I'm like, oh boy,
yeah,
it was
for
drugs.
sure drugs. Yeah.
And we see some slippers on the other side. So somebody was clearly looking to get some drugs,
Yes.
if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it was not a one-sided engagement.
It was not. It was not. Anyways, we decided to drive down to Jimmy Jazz, and I'm talking to Rui the whole time, and I'm like, the drugs thing was like the cherry on top of the cake. We just go, oh, shoot, we're not staying here. So we go to Jimmy Jazz, we drop off our gear, and we decide to go back. I'm thinking at this point I get to pull out. These guys get to meet Work Ralph somewhere along the tour, and I get very serious when people get injustified. So I get all mad and stuff, and I'm like, okay, yeah, let's go back to the hotel. We'll ruin this guy, whatever, right? I'm ready to be a full-on Karen to this guy. So I go up to him and I'm like, dude, we're not staying here tonight. We want our money back. And I'm thinking the guy's gonna fight us at this point, and he's like, fine. Yeah, he did show pictures. That was true. But he's like, fine. He's looking at me like, dude, this is the fourth time today, man. Really? Do we need to deal with this? So yeah, we end up staying in a better hotel. We get a better hotel room, better price. We were very happy with that place. We can actually shout them out. Best Western down in Guelph. Really amazing people received us. I think they really felt sorry for us at that point because they really knew that we were very blindsided by this event. Never book a Super 8, people.
Yeah. So the moral of the story is the only place available in Guelph when you go to visit is the Super 8. Find a truck bed in the parking lot down the street. It'll be more comfortable.
Yeah.
And never pick up eyeglass cases by a gold car, people.
No, and never pick up eyeglass cases near a gold car. Yeah, but we had a blast at that show. It was fantastic, and man, everyone is so friendly. It's such a wonderful downtown. Like, I haven't been to Guelph a lot in my life, but like when I was there, I was like, I could live here. This place is cool as hell.
Can I just mention something which I found very interesting about that show? And we
Sure.
talk about this a lot. We had Gen Zers in one corner, man. They were watching the show. They were enjoying it.
Yeah.
We had people in another side of Jimmy Jazz freaking dancing. We had like the guys from Stand Up Against Fear and their friends. They were just jamming to us, man. And it was beautiful to see that our music can convey like different emotions for all these different generations of people.
Yeah.
It was beautiful, man.
Yeah.
I just had to say that. I'm sorry. I had to get that off my chest. It was amazing.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the biggest perk of playing instrumental music. It's like everybody can be there for different reasons, and they can still take something from it. The message is kind of open to your own interpretation. So yeah, and we definitely got that vibe from everybody.
They really knew what instrumental music was about down there in Guelph.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And then after a stay in a proper hotel, we headed to Sudbury. And Sudbury was nice, but it was Canada Day, so it was really slow. Unfortunately, it's the kind of town where when the holidays hit, everybody books it.
Mhm.
So I got a buddy. Remember Jason? We had him on some time ago.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
he's from Sudbury, and he was like, after I got back, he was like, "Yeah, probably the worst weekend you could have picked." But the venue was fantastic. I absolutely want to play there again. Amazing staff, an amazing location. The stage is wicked. The sound was fucking awesome.
Oh, the sound was amazing.
Yeah.
They were also amazing with food, man. They offered us dinner. They bought us dinner.
That's great.
Yeah, treat your musicians right. A burger and some fries, finger in your butt. We're happy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it was a great show. Too bad the turnout didn't work out, but the bartender was really happy, and he was basically like, I like old school venues. This is something for new venues to kind of start understanding. Is like old school venues, they're willing to have a bad night for a good band, because the goal is to build a reputation. And I found with a lot of venues in Toronto in the last few years, it's very much not about reputation as much as it is about how much beer I can sell tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And there isn't an understanding of we're not just there to sell beer. We're supposed to be working with the venue to kind of make this a place for people to come back to. So yeah, if you're working in any place like that and you see an opportunity to kind of give some bands a good night, definitely do them a favor.
Yeah, so
'Cause,
much of this stuff has become making money off of the person under you. Like this person's gonna play here, I'm gonna make money off, like trying to get money from their merch sales. From like, it's sad.
Yeah, and it's like it runs against the spirit of music and art in general, which is like it's supposed to be about everybody coming together to enjoy this thing. You know, the revenue is supposed to be a byproduct of good shit and fun times. Like I always thought of going to a music show or going to an art crawl or something like that as like it's like a potluck where all these artists are bringing their little meal and we get to each taste. But we got to bring something too. You know, we all got to pitch in. So yeah, but Townhouse, they do things right. Bartender was a great dude. He said he was going to talk to people and let them know that he thought we were great. It was just you know, a night with
Really poor night.
yeah, with not the best turnout. And then and then we took a week off and we came back to Hamilton on the hottest day in the history of days.
Holy cow.
It was like 45 degrees on that fucking stage.
Ugh.
We played really well, but like I couldn't imagine anybody coming in and like walking up, even if we could have been Led Zeppelin, and you would show up and be like, "It's too hot to listen to Led Zeppelin today." Couldn't do it. By the time, so when I started my set, one of the other bands had left a set list at the like underneath my seat, and it just sat there for the entire set. And when I was done, it was like curled up, and there was a pool of water inside it.
Ooh.
From all my sweat.
Oh.
And I was like, yeah. And I only played for like 40 minutes. It was intense.
Wow.
But I love the Doors. They just got to get some AC in that bitch, man.
Most
It's
definitely.
not good. Yeah. And then we played the Palisade.
Palisade.
Yeah. We played the Palisade. So
That
the
was awesome.
Holy fuck. Palisade is a bowling alley with a stage.
Oh, we have a legendary one of those in Chicago. That's,
Cool.
Oh,
fun.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, it was
this
fun.
one.
Now it's a bowling alley again, but
Yeah.
cool.
Right. Yeah. The stage used to be over the bowling alley, I guess. That's what they were telling us.
So they say, yeah.
But they moved it. I can't imagine what the issues could be with having, like, can you imagine if you have an electrical issue and the sound guy has to like crawl over the bowling alley to like
All
fix the
issues.
mic?
Yeah.
Dude, that's got to be tough. So yeah, they relocated it, but it's a beautiful place, and yeah, I don't even like. I want to play another show there, but I just want to hang out there. It's cool.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, they got a little arcade. They got great drinks. All the serving staff are fantastic. The food was great. And yeah. Yep. Yeah. The quality of the sound equipment, and they had a house drum kit and all sorts of stands, and like everything was just like grab what you need. The Townhouse was the same in Sudbury. It was fantastic that way.
Yes.
And yeah, and while we were in London, we went to this amazing festival called Sunfest.
Oh, yeah.
There's all like music from around the world was kind of the theme of it. And so
And
we watched.
food as well.
Yep.
Have those little like little markets. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. But it was all different cultural backgrounds and stuff. We saw like a choir. We saw
I want to
like
say
an Irish folk band. What's that?
We saw a Swedish folk band. too.
Swedish folk. That's what it was. The Swedish folk band. And they were very similar to, like, they had a like Irish sort of Gaelic kind of vibe to them as well. Like
Yes.
a hand drum and a fiddle and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then there was a Brazilian band where the drummer was the lead singer, and she played on a drum kit while she sang. And she played really complex stuff too.
That always
And then she
blows my mind when the drummer is the lead singer.
Yeah.
I've seen that a couple
dude.
times, and it's like, how the fuck?
Yeah, and the stuff that this girl was playing, it was like I don't know if I could play it and not sing.
No.
And she was doing both. It was crazy. And then she jumped over, and then she had like all sorts of like percussion stuff all around her with the microphone there, and she was singing while she was playing.
Yeah, it was like this little
6 or 7 other
alternative kit. Yeah.
It was wild, man. It was wild. So yeah, I watched them for a while, and I was like, well, we're never going to be that good, but let's go play. But yeah, London was a great show, and we stayed at my mom's place, which was great.
Ben's mom was really welcoming to us.
Yeah.
Really, really welcoming.
Best breakfast of all the hotels.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
gonna say, did she get you a meal?
Oh yeah.
10 out of 10 would recommend.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. And then we came back and played the Junction Underground, and that was a great show.
That was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hidden, but it's just so roomy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. We're just talking about the venue, the vibe of the venue. It's like just kind of the perfect little kind of lounge place. There's like booths, but there's enough room where if you get a good crowd out, we had a lot of people kind of like lining the hallway and that kind of thing, but there was still room for sitting, and yeah, it was awesome.
It was.
And then we played the Bovine. Was that 2 weeks ago?
Last week.
Was that last week?
It was last week, yeah.
God, it was last week. Jesus Christ.
Are we still on tour, guys?
I wish.
Problem with having fun, man. Having
What's
fun.
that?
That's the problem with having fun. Like just
Yeah.
flies.
Yep, it sure does.
Actually, some guy asked me a while ago, would you do it again? And I'm just like, yes.
Tomorrow? Let's go tomorrow.
Let's go tomorrow. That's what I keep telling Ben. Let's go tomorrow.
Yeah, and last week we played a show with a band from Pittsburgh called Love Ethic, and they were amazing.
Oh my God.
And like, I do have a story about Love Ethic, and it's like a story of like what it's like to be a musician. So we had just finished our tour, went pretty smoothly, and it was pretty low key tour. You know, we were traveling but not far, and we were staying in our province, and you know, we didn't play 20 shows, we just played 6. These guys are from Pittsburgh and they're playing Toronto, so they've already gone way further than we did, and they've clearly been on the road for a while because like they've got their chops and they're, you know, well organized and that kind of stuff. And they had all sorts of stuff go wrong on stage. They had the bass guitar literally died.
Ugh.
And we had to like basically scramble with all the other musicians around to try and find another bass. And there was a guy who showed up who we've all seen this guy. The guy who had a little too much to drink and maybe a little too much blow before he showed up, and he thinks it's his show, and he stands at the front, yells and screams and makes noise and like sings his own lyrics to the songs and yada yada. And if you're on stage, that's incredibly disruptive. It's so difficult to maintain your focus. And you know, through all of this stuff, the band kept their composure and kicked ass. And like, even without the bass, it was still like a fantastic show. And then when they got the bass back, because they kept the momentum, the crowd was like, fuck yeah. And they were super excited. So like, yeah, it was just a lesson in like, you're on stage, it's not about you. Like, you got to play the songs. And you know, if you end up, it's that first show I played without the snare, it's like, get on there. You got 8 songs, make it happen, you know?
Finger in your ass, whatever you got going on.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. You get it. Yeah. And you know, it's just always good to see bands like bounce back from stuff like that, because it's just a reminder of like what we're doing. You know, like we bust our ass to make this happen. Oh, and it's nice when it's well received and when people see they respect and appreciate the effort. Yeah. So that's about it.
That's awesome.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And this tour wouldn't have been what it was without the 2 supporting acts that we took with us on the road for the entire time. The Howling Gales, Mark and Marcelo, or Johnny. I don't know which one you go by anymore. Both of you guys are fantastic musicians and amazing dudes. And they just released a new single on Spotify.
Keep on rolling.
Keep on rolling. They are like a 2-piece kind of blues rock duo. Fantastic, kind of Black Keys kind of vibe to them.
Cool.
And love those guys. Always bringing the thunder every time they show up.
It's also linked in the comments or whatever.
What's that?
We'll toss a link on the website and in the comments.
Perfect. And then the other band that we were with was called No Sunshine Collective. And shout out to Steve and Nathan and the drummer whose name escapes me currently, Matt. Matt. All three of those dudes are amazing. And Steve in particular, his band couldn't make it to a couple shows, and he got on that fucking stage by himself.
Oh wow!
And he rocked out for a full set
On his own.
and like it was good. Like to do that is one thing, but to do it well is another thing entirely.
Yeah.
And like, mad props
That's
to
awesome.
all those guys. It wouldn't have been a tour without those guys on it.
Most
So
definitely.
So when you're touring like that, your band is all kind of figuring each other out and everything. But then when you're on a tour also with like 2 other bands, are you guys all like kind of figuring? Is there a lot of interaction with the other bands like while you're going from place to place and
absolutely, yeah.
eating breakfast at Ben's mom's and all?
Well, so we decided to stay in the towns that we visited, but the other bands decided to keep driving back and forth.
Oh wow, okay.
So it meant that we really only spent time like at the venues for the most part. But you still have to work together. I mean, we got one drum kit for the 3 of us, and we've got a handful of amps. And
Steve let me use his amp for the longest time. Actually.
Yep.
So shout out to that. Yeah.
Yep. So like we're figuring out what the best gear is for everybody's comfort zone and that kind of stuff. So you all have to kind of, negotiate and work with each other. And both bands are just the easiest going dudes. Fantastic. They're for the Hamilton show. I had decided to basically for my drum kit, I was gonna take all the skins off on one side and then stack all my drums together so that I could get them in the car, and it just gave us a lot more space. It's just a smarter thing to do. But it meant that I had to like set them up when I got there and then tear them down at the end. And so I bought a bit for my drill so that I could just take them off super quick or put them on super quick. And I forgot the drill for one of the, I forgot it at the hotel actually. So I had to do it by hand. And as soon as Marcelo from the Howling Gale showed up and he saw, and I was like, shit, I'm like doing this by hand. And he was like, oh man. And he jumped right in and was just like, he was on it. And then I was like, hey, you've done this a bunch of times. Do you have any pointers for how to tune your drums? And then he helped me, like, this is how I do it. And this is, and so, yeah, that kind of teamwork is like, that's how it all happens.
Awesome.
You can't really be islands when you're doing this. You all have to kind of work together.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Well, that's fun stories.
Yeah. Do you guys have any other stories you want to tell, or
can we say the leather suit guy?
The
Can we talk about the leather suit guy?
We can talk about the leather suit guy.
So we already talked about the Doors in Hamilton. Really amazing place, great tacos. I don't think we mentioned how good the tacos are.
Tacos are fantastic.
We were on this stage throughout the whole tour. Let me just.
Is that the one that needed AC?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're starting to put 2 and 2 together here, right? So one of the opening bands, really good guys. Basically goes hand in hand with what Ben said about people that are starting out, but really good guys, really great band. But lead singer, guitarist decides to show up in a leather suit.
Like we're talking like leather shirt, leather pants.
Yes.
Yeah.
So sure, 80s rock is as hell and whatever, and it's looking really good, but obviously when you're playing in a place with very little AC, you're going to sweat a lot.
Yeah.
So this guy, by the end of the show, he looked like he was in a wetsuit.
It was intense. It was like
His set list. By the end of the show, it looked like one of those like paper towel commercials, but it's the bad paper towel. So it was all crumpled up. All the ink was coming out. It was horrible. So shout out to him because he pulled it off really well.
yeah, I would not do that.
I don't know what he pulled off, but he pulled it off really well.
It happened.
Yeah. Yeah. All in all, it was a great time. And
Was.
this is my first tour. I think this is all three of us. This is our first tour.
Yeah.
Yeah. For all four of us. And I guess, first of all, I can't believe I waited this goddamn long because that was fantastic. And second of all, I just wanted to add a little thing. Like, this was not free. It costs money for us to do this. We're not a big band. No one really knows who we are. We're just picking 6 towns that are within driving distance so that we can kind of expand our circle a little bit. And I got to tell you, legitimately, there's no support. I'm not blaming people. I'm talking about like the infrastructure, like venues and transportation and that kind of stuff. No one's helping. We got to do this all on our own. Whatever assistance or support systems were in place back in the day, they ain't here no more. So like, if you love music and you want good music in the world, go out to local venues, support bands, buy t-shirts, share on social media, whatever bands you're into. Don't worry about what people think. Who gives a shit? Like, if you love it, tell people about it. That's what we're trying to do, and it won't happen for most of us if we don't have the support from fans and just from music lovers, So please don't think that no one cares. We 100% care, and every person that shows up is like our best friend.
Yeah. I know we got to wrap it up.
Everybody at a Mute Sound show, man.
Yeah, exactly.
There's room for everybody. To the Gen Zers, to the people dancing, to
Yeah. He was. Rui was saying at the Jimmy Jazz show, we had these hardcore punk rockers that were like, "Oh," and like having a mosh pit every once in a while, depending on the speed of the song. We had a couple college girls who were dancing up a storm, like loving what we were throwing down. And then there was one older lady that came up to us after our set with tears in her eyes, and she was saying how beautiful it was. And it's just like, they all heard the same songs.
Yeah.
And they all had the reaction that they needed, I guess. And what we're doing isn't, we're not reinventing the wheel. Honestly, whatever town you live in, whatever you're doing, pick a Friday night, go out, see a local band. Who cares what they're called? Find something that's in the genre you enjoy, and expand your circle a little bit, and go up and thank them for their music afterwards, and tell them how great they are. Get to know them. They're people.
I think that really hit for me during COVID. I was seeing bands not being able to do anything, and so I started buying vinyl from their websites. Like, my vinyl collection blew up during COVID just because I wasn't able to go see these bands, but I wanted to support them in some way and also get something cool for myself. So, 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
Worth that. Next weekend, I'm going to Merchant Street Music Fest, as a festival we hold the next town over, and they get a bunch of bands in. I don't really know most of the bands, like almost ever. But it's a cool time, and it's not very expensive to go to those kind of shows. And you're there supporting a bunch of bands that, sometimes they're awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And even bands, when you see them and they're not awesome, could be one bad night.
Yep.
Could be that, they got a new bass player. We saw that with a couple of bands that we were playing with, where it was like, oh yeah, that guy's only been in the band for 2 weeks. And we're like, he's doing pretty well.
I've seen bands like open, like when they're smaller, that okay, so I saw OK Go open for They Might Be Giants years ago,
right,
in Chicago, and they were awful. And I'm not still a big OK Go fan, but I don't dislike
Sure.
them. But like, yeah, like just it's kind of later. You're just like, wow, they actually made it. That's cool. Like, so
Right.
you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever they were doing, they just needed to
Keep
stick the
going.
landing, right?
Yep. They need to do some
Yeah.
awesome music videos. That's pretty much what they did. But
That's why I keep telling
Yeah.
people when they get into music, man, just start somewhere.
Yeah.
Start somewhere. You know, it'll take you time. You everybody has their own path, but as long as they just keep that path steady, they'll always end up somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
That's how we're here.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Rui's been making music in the capacity he is now. You were a percussionist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a percussionist for years, but he started writing his own music 6 years ago.
Hmm.
And you have music on other people's albums, don't you? Yeah. And you have one with Ian Thornley, right? Big Wreck?
Yes.
Yeah, but you helped write it.
But you helped write it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway,
Being humble.
he's humble, but
Very
you know, it's like I really think that there's a certain amount of luck to what instrument is the one that you connect with, but and maybe it's not even an instrument. I guess for you, it's pencil and ink, right?
Yeah.
I look at it differently.
or a camera, right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I look at it differently. I think musicians go through phases. I think we just look for the right tool to put us out there at the time. You know, I wanted to learn drums when I started.
Right.
I didn't want to learn to play guitar. To this day, I play a bunch of different stringed instruments. I play mandolin and a Portuguese folk flute.
Right.
Sometimes they're just tools of the trade that just help you put yourself out there.
Yeah. And it was the opposite for me. I had a guitar when I was a kid, and I found it. Yeah. I had an acoustic guitar when I was 9 years old, and it was an adult-sized guitar that I was given as a 9-year-old. And my dad was not very good at the parenting, so he was like, "Here's a guitar." He's like, "Here's a list of chords. Learn the chords. Just play them until your fingers hurt." And I was like, "This doesn't sound fun at all." So I tried for a while, and I was like, and he was like, "How's it going?" I was like, "My fingers hurt." He's like, "Yeah, that'll happen for a while." And I was like, "Deal with the pain. Music fucking sucks, dude." So like,
when it starts to hurt, Voltaren.
Yeah, exactly. So I stopped playing guitar, and I got into drums almost just like out of spite. But it's definitely my calling, and I would say guitar is your calling for sure.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I actually play a bunch of stringed instruments. There's one song where I play Portuguese guitar in,
Mm-hmm.
so that's why I keep on arguing. It's tools of the trade on getting yourself out there.
Sure. Yeah,
Most
that's fair.
definitely. But I do appreciate the compliment. It really is my favorite instrument out of all.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming out today, guys. I mean,
No problem.
Ben's always going to be here
thanks
anyway.
for having
So. But thank you guys for joining. It was great to meet you, Rui, and it was great to see you again. Yeah. Wow. That was some wild stories.
Well, that was an hour's content. So let's hope the YouTube gods approve. I believe we said a couple words that may be flagged. We'll find out.
That's punk rock.
Yeah, exactly. Who cares? But yeah, we're going to be back on the road. We're going to be back on stage at the Monarch, right?
Handlebar. August 13th.
So,
Ralph, you got anything going on with the Midsummers? Did I see something?
Yeah, we're playing the Monarch August 17th.
that's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, we're doing this series of shows called Summer with the Midsummers. We're going to be doing something different. We're inviting a bunch of local indie folk bands, people we have played with, not played with, people we've been dying to play with. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time. Anybody that's really interested in that kind of style of music, please come out. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a nice summer night and a lot of surprises for sure.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for being here again,
No
Ben.
problem.
And I guess I'll catch you guys later. I'm sure we'll get you guys all back on at some point. And Ben, I'll see you in a couple weeks. We got
Yes, you will.
we got Chris from Show Off coming on in a couple weeks. So
Awesome.
and
Cool.
cue the closing. Boom. Hey, you made it through an entire episode. Good for you. If you're looking for more, give the rest of the channel a look. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. We'll catch you fuckers next time. Later.